comes a smash. Marquinhos is acrobatic. Gittler plays it back into play. Marquinhos finds the table. Phenomenal start. Banyik tries to get... They're going to be able to. They've crossed the line.
And that's it. That's it.
And that is indeed that. Hungary are the champions.
Teqball.
Teqball.
Teqball 就去死。
玩踢波除咗。
Tomara a Deus que sim. Assim eu teria a chance de ganhar uma medalha de ouro em Olimpíada.
Welcome to the Big Kickoff League of Ireland show. Myself, Roy Shanahan. I'm delighted to be joined by Phil Fitzgerald, who was a former player of Dundalk, Shelbourne, Drogheda, Longford, and probably a few others, Phil, and also England across the water. Phil, welcome onto the show.
Thanks very much, Roy, and thank you for having me. Really
No
appreciate
problem,
it.
no problem. So we have you on to talk about a bit of your career as well, and also Teqball, which is booming all around the globe at the moment. And we'll touch on that now in a little bit. But tell us about your career. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you play your football?
Well, I sort of followed a couple of my older brothers. We were sort of dragged up in Walkinstown, and sort of Bushy Park was quite close. So Rangers Football Club was the local club, and two of my older brothers played there. And then when my time came to play, that's where I played. So I played from the age of sort of 9, 10 up till 15 when I went to England, and I played schoolboy football, and I was lucky enough to be offered several sort of offers to go to England, and I finally decided I'd go to Arsenal because there was a huge presence, Roy, at Arsenal at that time with the likes of Liam Brady and Frank Staple and John Devine, who I stayed with for a while. Bobby Duffy was a really good player, didn't make it, and then we had some Northern Ireland guys there as well. So Arsenal was the club of choice to go to.
And how was it going to England at 15 years of age? It's a very young age to be going across the water, and we've heard loads of other players who have said they've gone across and struggled. How did you find it?
Yeah, looking back on it, Roy, you're never going to be told at 15. You know, you want to go. My parents would have been. My dad went everywhere with me for football, and he was a former League of Ireland player himself. My dad and my mother didn't want me to go really at that age, and looking back on it, it was probably too young, especially for me. I spent 2 years there. I went at 15, very young, because you can go ahead of time in Ireland at that time, and I found it. I loved it, but I found it very, very, very different, and very, you know, for a young boy in Dublin at that time, it was very different to go to London, and I probably struggled a little bit for what I had, you know. So yeah, didn't find it easy, but at the same time, I wouldn't make excuses either. You know, you either adapt and you make it, or you don't. So that's the way.
Yeah. And what, like nowadays, they obviously have double training sessions. There's a bit more media presence, so they're kept busy around the clubs now. But back then there wouldn't have been that. It would have been just training in the morning and go home.
Basically, yeah, and you found yourself in a digs really on your own. Initially, I was over on trial and I stayed with Frank Stapleton and John Devine, who were sharing digs together. And then when I went to actually sign there, I was in a digs on my own, which was difficult. As you say, you'd finish midday, sort of 1 o'clock, do a bit of cleaning around the club or whatever. As a kid, you know, you did the boots, you did all that, and then you were left to your own devices, really. And it can be sort of lonely and strange because I stayed with an elderly couple, very nice couple, but you know, I was used to having brothers and a sister around the place, and it can be strange. You're going back to stay in a bed, you know, to sit in the bedroom and listen to some music, really. So
No
yeah,
such thing as
well,
PlayStations then, Phil.
no, absolutely not. And you didn't even have a phone, you know. So
Yeah.
it's very different. Yeah, it was trying to find things to do. I started over in England. I started with John Devine, had started to mess around with a guitar, and he started to teach me a few chords and stuff. So that was something I began to do over there, and that helped me for the rest of my life because now I play a lot of music and play in bands and stuff. And so that was a good thing that came out of that time that I had to myself, that I was able to learn a few chords. I probably should have gone and got proper lessons because I still wouldn't be the greatest guitar player in the world, but probably should have learned it properly.
So you made your return back to Ireland. How did that all come about? What age were you when that happened?
I came back at 17, just after 7, just turning 17 actually. And Dundalk came in immediately. They heard I was home. And I signed for Dundalk and quite quickly started getting first team games, which was quite amazing. And had a great number of years with Dundalk. And a club I still hold huge affection for, and I still see some of the guys and would be in touch with some of the players, the Lawler brothers, Martin and Mick. They would be still people I connected to this day. Players that I played with across the League of Ireland. There's still a great community, and it's still a great thing to be part of, to be a former League of Ireland player. There's a great some camaraderie about the game in this country. It wasn't always the easiest to play in. There was a lot of players who nowadays they'd be doing jail time instead of getting red cards. So it was difficult, and it spoiled it a bit because there was some great players, Roy. Honestly, there was some great players in the League of Ireland, but there was also some bad players that just basically maimed people. It was allowed then, the tackle from behind, and you'd love to play nowadays. And I've seen some players that back in the day that could have been huge players now because they were kicked off the pitch really, and the surfaces we played on. Having said that, it was a wonderful league to be part of even then, and it's great now. It's great what's happening with the League of Ireland now. I think with the way it's progressing, and hopefully it still does.
Was going to be my next question. Comparing League of Ireland when you played and comparing League of Ireland now, do you see it progressing well, and do you see it progressing quick enough?
It's not quick enough, and all the people involved with the league would say that. Absolutely. We've had a nightmare for a lot of years. I won't go into it. It's well documented. The support coming from certain sections hasn't been great. Let's be honest about it. And it's always seen as the problem child, right? So and it shouldn't be. This is our game, and until people involved with the game here realise that the days of players going and playing with Manchester United and Arsenal and Liverpool from Ireland, we're lucky to get players into the squad now because they've players coming from all over the world. Back in my day, the players that went, all broke into the first team in countries like that, or in teams like that in England. So they were playing at the best levels. You look at it now, you've players from all over the world in their academies. So to get an Irish player into a first team in the top 6, 7 teams in England, very tough. So until we realise that in a big way and get behind the game here and develop it, the way Dundalk have developed it over a number of years, the way Shamrock Rovers, who are absolute shining light at the moment, and I've been up to their training ground. They work with Teqball with me, with some of the tables with Brad's up there. and it's fantastic setup. It's a proper League of Ireland, or a proper professional setup, and that's what we have to aim for. And I think the game here is much more technical in the last number of years than it has been for a long time. As I say, when I played, too many bad players got away with it, Roy, because it was a physical league. But the game now around the world allows the better players and the skillful players you have to have ability to play at the levels. So that's a good thing. It really is a good thing. But we have to get behind the game and keep getting behind it.
Yeah. So when we talk about technical ability, when I played, when you played, we would have been out playing in the streets every single day. That was our thing. Get home from school, go out and play football. In the summer, wake up, play football, eat your breakfast, play football, eat your lunch, play football.
Yeah,
You know, it was
absolutely.
just football, football, football.
Yeah,
That's not the way it is now. There's a lot more organised football. Kids don't be out playing. We used to organise street leagues. We had about 6 or 7 teams where we'd organise, make sure you're playing them this day, make sure it doesn't happen now, you know.
no.
So that kind of football's gone. So we need to come up with new ways of helping kids improve their technique, something innovative. And Teqball have come up with something that hasn't just been around the last year, so it's around a little bit now, and they have world championships and etc. So how did you come across Teqball? How does Teqball, I suppose, help technique?
Well, exactly what you said, Roy. You know, it's a fantastic skill developer. I came across it at 5.5. That's actually 6 years ago, because I spent a couple of months obviously meeting and sort of going through an interview process. At the background, there was only myself and a colleague of mine here in Ireland, because they wanted to have an Irish office to communicate through to the UK and the rest of Europe. It's Teqball was started in Budapest in Hungary by a couple of guys who were fantastically innovative in what they were doing. One's a former player, the other guy's sort of more scientific end of things, and then we had the benefactor came in as well to drive it with, you know, some money in behind it. But it's been prototyped since sort of 2012, and then I came in 2016 when it was ready to go, so to speak. And it was developed as a sport, the Teqball, which is the football-based sport, which got a great reaction, and it has been embraced by nearly every top club in the world, and all the top football federations are embracing it. But Teqball is more than that. It's a one piece of equipment. It's a curved table, which is incredibly innovative, because the ball comes down towards your feet or your knee, Roy, so that
I'm
it
going to put up
develops
a
your
couple of
skills.
images, John, or Phil. I'll just put up a couple of images while you're talking there.
Yeah, sure.
So
You can see there the curve on the table, Roy. So these are. I'm trying to see who that might be.
Yeah, it's Manchester United.
It
Fernandez,
is, yeah. That's
Martial.
Fernandez, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Manchester United have about 6 or 7 tables from us, Roy, and they have them a number of years. But as you can see, the table brings the ball down towards the feet and down towards the knee. You have 3 touches to get the ball back, 1, 2, or 3. So you can go back in 1, 2, or 3. If you're playing in a team element, which is 2 players together, which is a fantastic game because you can get combination play, you still only have 3 touches, and there must be a pass. So if you and I were playing together, Roy, and I received the ball, I can go to you in 1 and you can go over. I can go to you in 1, you can come back to me and I go over, or I can take 2 and you 1. But it must go back in 3 touches, and it must have a pass in it. And the thing about that is, as you can imagine, you really have to develop your skills to be able to do it. So that's the fantastic part of it. I've gone out, Roy, I've coasted with young players, of young girls teams, young boys teams. I've gone and done nights where I've gone and they have tables, and I've gone and coached them. And it is quite amazing to see the development in touch. I wish it was around, Roy, when we were playing. I mean, and Roy, as you know, I'm a certain vintage now, and I can, you know, I've had knee replacements and whatever else, but I'm moving still okay. And if you've got a touch still, you know, I get on the table, Roy. I might pay for it the following day,
Yeah.
but I love it. I still, you know, even but I find it fantastic. Now, the football-based game is our main one, but there's 4 other sports that can be played on it, which is quite amazing. One piece of equipment, Roy, you can play 5 sports. There's a form of volleyball, a form of table tennis, a form of tennis, and a form of handball on it. And it's fantastic. And we've had World Cups in nearly all of those sports already. The last World Cup for Teqball, we had over 50 countries playing it, Roy. It's fantastic. Like, it's a great story in 5 or 6 years. It really is.
And why do you feel it's good for clubs and schools to think about purchasing? I mean, obviously for Teqball, the company, they want to sell as much as possible.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what are the benefits that schools and clubs will get from
Well,
purchasing the table?
take it from schools. I mean, people compare a Teqball table to a table tennis table. It's not. And I'll tell you why. Because you're going to have a size 5 football landing on it for the next 20 years rather than a table tennis ball, You're going to have a volleyball landing on it or a tennis ball landing on it. So they're structurally much different in the fact that their Teqball tables are very, very robust. And, there's a lot goes into them to make them that way. They're also we have different types of tables. Like the premium tables would be completely weatherproof, which is why schools and the top clubs love them, or colleges, because you can leave them out on the training ground if you want. But in schools we have foldable tables as well. But can you imagine in a school you've got kids who either like table tennis or they don't like table tennis? That's it, But what you've got with a Teqball table is you've got kids, boys, girls, different age groups, right up, have a choice of 5 sports to play on the table.
Yeah.
The other thing, Roy, because of the curve on the table, the unique part of Teqball tables too is the fact that it's disabled friendly. If you want, people with disabilities, wheelchair bound players can all play these sports because the table is curved, means the ball comes down towards the chair or whatever it would be. Or in some cases we've had paratype athletes playing the game, and they're able to play, and it's amazing because the ball comes down towards them. So it's such an inclusive thing, Teqball, and all the sports. That's what I love about it. It develops your coordination, your touch. But at the root of it all, Roy, and the biggest single thing about any sport is it's fantastic fun to play. It's addictive, And I've had a go at the tech volley sport. It's fantastic. The World Cup, the quality is fantastic. And we've had some things going on in Ireland with a guy down in a particular guy down in Kilkenny, Benny O'Regan. Myself and Benny worked together to produce a tournament down there last year. Unfortunately, again, before COVID sort of held everything back. And the reaction to tech volley is fantastic. Benny's a fantastic player himself, great volleyball player, but he adores it. And he has different things going on most weekends, you know, as allowed, you know, with restrictions allowing. And it's also Teqball is also very social distancing friendly because you're playing at either ends of a table. So it's got so much going for it, Roy. Honestly, I'd love to get you on the table. We'll have to get you on the table, Roy. Actually,
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, just to see how bad me touch has got.
Well, let me tell you a story, and I'll probably be shot for this because maybe I shouldn't say it. But I've seen, well, I won't name players. Let's put it that way. I've seen top professional players struggle for about 10, 15 minutes when they start on it. They think everybody looks at it thinks it's easy. It's not. But when you get it, when you get used to the touch of the game, it's fantastic. And you get great crack out of it, honestly. And as you can imagine, any people who are in sport, the banter and the slagging that goes with it, if you miss the table when you should have an easy shot, it's like any sport. It's all great fun. But Roy, I'm holding you to that, Roy. I'm going to get you on the table.
We will. We'll get it. We'll put it up as well.
And we'll get a video, Roy, and we'll show all of Ireland Roy Shanahan's touch.
Me touch has been. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, this is if you're purchasing this, it's a long-term purchase. It's not for a year, 2 years. This is a long-term purchase. So with something that's long-term purchase, it obviously costs a few quid. There are grants out there that can help you, and there's different level of table that you have. So do you want to go into that?
Yeah, just I contacted a huge amount of clubs and schools and various people this year about the sports capital grants. So if people are involved with clubs, or, you know, sports clubs, so it doesn't have to be just football. It can be, you know, if you're involved with a tennis club and you'd like to develop your tight skills playing teqers, which is a great game as well. You know, these clubs can apply for the sports grant and get one of the Teqball tables. Now, I think at the end of the day, if you go through a sports capital grant, it's only a couple of hundred bucks, you know, to get a table. But we have several different types of tables, Roy. We have what we call the smart table, which is the Teqball premium table. It's on wheels. The professional clubs a lot would use those, and we have another premium table which is called the one table, which is more of an in situ type table. Like take example. The Wicklow Sports Partnership just received one the other day. I'm going to be doing a promotion with them on Thursday down at Coral Leisure in Wicklow where they're doing it. I'm hoping to have Stephanie Roach and Anya Gorman coming down from the international squad to do a bit on it, because Anya does some work and Steph does some work with different sports partnerships and tries to help. Great, fantastic ambassadors for the game. So that would be an in situ table, Roy. It's left outside. It's fixed to the surface, whether it be concrete or whatever can be fixed. So they run a bit, Roy, because they will last basically a lifetime. So you're looking at between €2,500 and €3,000 for them. We also have what we call developed a more affordable school type table, which is a table called a Tech Lite and a Tech X, which is just about to be launched, which are in around $14.99, Roy, for the table for that. Again, the one thing I would say, Roy, what appears to be an expensive buy, and listen, you know, people have to work hard for their money, and clubs find it hard. You know, schoolboy clubs and schools have only certain budgets. But exactly what you said, this is a long-term thing. These tables are, you know, they're made to be durable and they're made to last years and years. And I have tables, Roy, that have been here five years already with Neil Cole, who's been a fantastic supporter of it. He's involved with Dunleary Rathdown. He's the CEO of all the sports thing. Neil was the first one to buy tables here, and he bought a couple of one tables, which are the outdoor tables. 5 years later, they're amongst them. There's hardly a mark on them. I mean, it's fantastic, like, and I mean that genuine. And he's now. And Neil, we've created the Teqball hub in the Longford Town Centre indoor with the new Tech Light tables. Again, COVID you know, COVID stopped the world for everybody. Listen, I don't mean to be flippant that way. You know, it stopped everything for everybody,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be flippant, but you know, this type of thing is will come back on board, and we'll be able to use those type of facilities more. But
Well, we're coming out of lockdown now. But
yeah,
these are these things are back alive again. Everything's back alive. Football's starting to breathe again. So kids are getting back to football. They're back in school. So these things are around now again. Um, we will have a link just under the video. So if you want to have a look at the link under the video, it'll get you straight through to Teqball, and you can have a look at it. And of course, Phil is on LinkedIn, and we will leave a link to Phil's LinkedIn as well if you want to contact Phil through that.